Today we are going to talk about commas in German language. Commas are determined by grammar in German, not by the writer feeling a pause is appropriate, as is so often the case in English. Wird aber innerhalb von 14 Tagen zurückkommen. He will, however, return within a fortnight. In German, you must always insert a comma between an independent and a dependent clause, however short they are. For example, ich will das Buch nicht übers Internet kaufen, obwohl es dort billiger wäre. I don't want to buy the book over the internet, although it would be cheaper there. Wusste, dass ich es war. He knew that it was me. When joining two independent or two main clauses by means of a coordinating conjunction, a comma must be inserted between the two if the second clause has its own subject. Fliegt heute nach London, aber kommt morgen schon zurück. He's flying to London today, but he is returning tomorrow. But if the subject of the first clause also serves as the subject of the second clause, which is a possible stylistic variant in both German and English, you cannot separate that second finite verb from its subject by means of a comma. Fliegt heute nach London, aber kommt morgen schon zurück. The post-1998 spelling rules have introduced two small changes here. Just with the coordinating conjunctions oder and und, a comma has been made optional even if the subject is mentioned. Meine Festplatte funktioniert nicht mehr richtig und ich muss sie reparieren lassen. My hard disk is no longer working properly and I have to get it repaired. The other small change since 1998 is that a comma is now also optional before an infinitive clause consisting of more than two plus an infinitive. Hat probiert, ihr zu helfen. He tried to help her. No comma was ever required when the infinitive clause was not expanded beyond zu plus an infinitive. Hat probiert zu helfen. He tried to help. When a subordinate clause precedes a main clause in a complex sentence, the comma is an indispensable reading tool to indicate which verb belongs to which clause. Wenn mir damals geholfen hätte, hätte ich ihm gestern mit dem Umzug geholfen. If he had helped me back then, I would have helped him with moving house yesterday. But even when the order of the clauses is reversed, a comma must of course be used. Ich hätte ihm gestern mit dem Umzug geholfen, wenn mir damals geholfen hätte. I would have helped him with moving house yesterday if he had helped me back then. In English, in such cases, it is up to the writer to decide if the sentence is long enough to require a comma for the sake of clarity or not, and no two people's comma style is the same. This is definitely not the case in German. Commas with a relative clauses. A comma must be placed at both the beginning and the end of a relative clause, clearly delineating it from the main clause in which it is embedded. Zum Beispiel, der Kuli, mit dem ich den Scheck unterschreiben wollte, war leer. Colons with direct speech. When speech is reported by means of clauses such as he said, she wrote, etc., a colon is used in German where in English we use a comma. Sie schrie, wach auf. She shouted, wake up. But if the direct speech precedes the verb of reporting, a comma is used, not a colon. Mach schnell, sagte er. Hurry up, she said. Der Vertrag ist unterzeichnet worden, berichtete der Journalist. The contract has been signed, the journalist reported. Inverted commas or quotation marks. German places the first inverted commas or quotation marks of a set on the line and the second where it is in English. For example, mach schnell, sagte er. Mach schnell, sagte er. Hurry up, he said. So we can clearly see the difference between the German and the English sentence. Exclamation marks. An exclamation mark is used after exclamations as in English, zum Beispiel Gottes Willen, for God's sake. So we use an exclamation mark. It's also used after imperatives in German, although you may find some inconsistency in use here. Zum Beispiel setz dich, sit down. Komm nach dem Abendbrot zu uns rüber, wenn du Lust hast. Come over to us after dinner if you feel like it. Traditionally, an exclamation mark was used at the beginning of a letter after the name of the addressee, and the first word in the next line was capitalized, as were all familiar pronominal forms. Du, dich, dir, dein und so weiter. Zum Beispiel, lieber Franz, ich habe deinen Brief vom 11. März dankbar erhalten. Dear Franz, thank you very much for a letter of the 11th of March. These days, a comma has replaced the exclamation mark, but the first word of the next line is not capitalized as in English because the first word in the letter is regarded as the beginning of the sentence and all forms related to do are written with small letters when not at the beginning of a sentence. Zum Beispiel, lieber Franz, ich habe deinen Brief vom 11. März dankbar erhalten.